Hello, and welcome to episode 15 of the Life of Gaming podcast. My name is Jamie, and I will be your captain on this cruise of video game awesomeness. And you all know my co-host, the Solly to my Nathan Drake, Mr. Josh Brandt.
I see what you did there.
That's right.
Nice. So fitting for this episode.
That's right.
So pumped to talk about Uncharted.
I know. Well, actually, what we're going to do today, guys, today we are starting a brand new series for the summer, because during the summer it's kind of like a lull month with video games because E3 just happened and the big releases aren't happening until the fall. So what we're going to do, each episode for the next 10 weeks, so roughly the summertime, we're going to feature a different game that we love to play in what we're calling our summer game series. And for this episode, we're actually going to cover Uncharted. So we're actually pretty excited about that. But we actually have another member of our team with us tonight. As you all know, my brother-in-law, Matt.
The Elena Fisher to your...
Yeah. I was going to say, are you going to make me the girl?
I was going to say, you are, I don't know, survivor number 3.
You're the guy that betrays
guy?
us. What's the... Yeah, number 2. Who's the guy that betrays?
Whatever his name is, and number 2.
Work for?
You know the good thing about being Solly, though?
Oh, what's that?
Is that you never die.
That's true.
You just never die.
That's true.
Yep.
I don't know.
And you let
is Uncharted 4 going to be the
all
last one? Is he going to die?
I don't know. We'll see.
A thieves' end. Yeah.
So Brant, what have you been up to lately? I know you've had some stuff going on.
Well, just the same old. I'm sure we're going to be talking about Batman, of course.
Oh yes, we will. Obviously.
Matt, have you gotten that yet?
No, I'm probably not going to pick that one up just for the lack of money.
Boo.
But
you can always borrow it, man.
Boo money.
Yeah, I might play down the road a little bit. I only played Arkham Asylum and maybe 20% of Arkham City.
Okay.
And then at the time, that was when I hit that stretch where I was just played tons of open world games and I got burnt out on open world games, and so I never went back to it.
Got it.
Oh,
well,
got it. Yeah.
Hopefully you guys can understand me, because I've been fighting a sore throat since Saturday. I finally got my voice back, so I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. But at least you guys can understand me, so that's a good thing. But
we
Matt,
hear your awesome laugh.
That's right. So Matt, what have you been up to lately, man? Tell us about your life.
Had to pretty much chill this week after I had a little eye surgery.
Good
so just kind of been hanging out. Yep. Playing a lot of games. I'm sure we're going to talk about that later.
Yeah, but you're healing good. Yeah. You're healing quickly, so that's a good thing.
Yeah. Getting there.
Good,
It's going to take a little bit, but we're getting there.
Right. And yeah, for me, like Brant was saying, I lost my voice because I was actually working a rock concert on Saturday. So, it wasn't just so much yelling at the bands. It was while I was working, trying to yell over the bands. And when you do that for a long period of time, I was there from 4 p.m. to midnight. So, it was a long day.
Don't lie, you were right in the front in the crowd screaming.
Right. But it was a good time. Oh, by the way, if you're looking for some new music to listen to, a new band I just kind of found at the concert, they're called Shapes and Colors. So make sure to check them out. They are awesome.
Could this be the Music Minute right here? Because
sure.
I want to
what do you
promote
have, sir? What do you have?
Me Without You, Pale Horses, and that's P-A-L-E.
Okay.
Pale Horses.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, that album is so good. It goes back, I don't know if you've listened to any of their past albums, but it goes back to their really good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They went from this screamo to this just indie alternative. Then they went to this I don't know, the Decemberist type of sound, but yeah, they went back to that sound that was really hitting hard for them. And it's pretty much my album of the year right now. That and 21 Pilots.
You're talking, you just picked that up.
Out. Yeah, that album is just so dope. I love it so much. I don't know what else to say.
Well, what about you, Matt? Do you have any albums to promote at the time?
Let's see. The only thing I purchased recently, I purchased it for my wife, and it was Hillary Duff's new album. That's not for me. Not for me.
Oh my goodness.
Stressing that out.
Okay.
I just see Matt.
We'll just blank that part out of the show.
Listen.
Oh man, that's
secretly listening.
Yeah, I was gonna say Matt. He's got in the car. He's just hopping and bopping along. It's rocking out
Taylor Swift going on.
Oh, dude, that's hilarious. Well, guys, with that, we're gonna hop into our news section and what we call Captain's Log. Well, now we're actually far enough away from E3 that news is finally starting to trickle in again. Because our last episode, I mean, there really wasn't like any new stuff to talk about. But once again, like always, we'll hop through PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, and we'll start off with PlayStation. They were actually talking to Sony about The Last Guardian. And they said, this must be the most expensive game you have ever made because the development time has taken so long. And they said, actually, no. Horizon Zero Dawn will cost more than The Last Guardian did. And I thought that was kind of interesting because, I mean, Horizon is like a brand new IP. I mean, they're just starting out. And Last Guardian's been running forever. And they said, well, how is that possible? And they said, Last Guardian has a much smaller team. So I'm assuming the guys over at Guerrilla Games, there must be like a ton of people on that team.
No doubt.
Well, no wonder they were able to get things together that quickly.
Yeah, so
because I mean, we just heard about the game and there was that awesome demo.
Yeah, and I mean, it's supposed to come out, I think, next year, didn't they say? I mean, that game's right around the corner.
Yeah, pretty close. I mean, maybe next fall.
Yeah, and with PlayStation right now, they've admitted like this year they don't really have a lot of first party new games to show this year because a lot of it's got pushed back. So I'm wondering if they're really starting to put a lot of money into their first-party studios, say we got to get stuff out for next year.
Yeah, they better.
I think they've been doing that.
It's just
yeah. They've got to do something to fill in those gaps.
But guys, I know you guys don't.
Well, they're gonna have like
a place.
Oh yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, man.
Go ahead, don't know. I know you guys don't own
fine.
a PlayStation device.
Yeah.
But which of those three games are you guys would be most excited about if you had a choice? Or you think it's going to sell the best?
Which three? You mean Last Guardian?
Shenmue, the big announcement. Shenmue 3, The Last Guardian, and Final Fantasy 7 remake.
Dude, that's so funny because you said out of those three, and we had no idea what three games you were
You're like,
I knew we were just talking about Horizon and
just
stuff.
Just the blast from the past we had at E3. Yeah.
I would say that between Last Guardian, Shenmue, and Final Fantasy VII, I think will sell the most. Because what's probably going to happen with Shenmue is, they wanted the Kickstarter, they hit up, the $2 million goal they wanted. Everybody went crazy for it, and now it's going to die down. So I think that's going to be more of it happened, and the fan base wanted it. It happened. They enjoyed it. But people that don't know that series, I don't think it's going to sell. Where with Final Fantasy VII, it has such a large fan base and such a history behind it that I think everyone's going to pick that game up.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say... Oh, go ahead, Josh.
No, I was just going to say, I definitely agree with what you're saying. I think The Last Guardian actually stands a chance as being one of the most best-selling games, just because Final Fantasy VII's so far away, and there's a lot of hype going on for that I think people are going to be very disappointed if it doesn't hit like it should. And what worries me, it's a remake, it's not a remaster, so they're going to be changing a lot of things around. And the purist to Final Fantasy VII might have a big problem with that. But I think, when it releases, everybody that wants Final Fantasy VII, like me, will buy it up.
Oh, you mean you actually want that game? I had no idea. But actually, speaking of Shenmue, they had that Kickstarter. In the last episode, we had our conversation about that whole process and how they got that $2 million. They hit their goal, and Sony came out and said, okay, we're going to back it now because you hit that $2 million. Well, now, for some odd reason, the creator of Shenmue came out and said, okay, now we're adding stretch goals. We want to hit 11 million. So I'm kind of like, wait a minute. You had your $2 million stretch goal, or your $2 million goal, and you hit it. Sony came in and said, okay, we're going to start backing this game now. And yet somehow he wants another 11 million. So I'm like, so what do they need that for? Why do they need another, $7 million? And if you go to the Kickstarter website and look up Shenmue, and you look at what the stretch goals are, it's actually adding more content to the game. It's adding additional levels. Or not additional levels, but it's adding more content to levels that they've already announced. And it's adding, it's adding new stuff to the game. But it's like, well, what do you need our money to do that? Why do you need our money to do that? So Brand,
it's getting fishy.
Sure. Because I know when we were talking about this before the show.
I was totally not against it at first, but now it's just okay. Maybe they're stretching things a little bit too much here. I don't know. The game's going to get made, but
yeah, absolutely.
I'm starting to think that maybe people were hyped about this, but it's very niche and just won't sell like it should.
Sure, and one thing they said with the Kickstarter, when it first launched, it hit that 3 million super fast. They said that the amount that people are paying now has dropped off drastically. So I think what happened, all the fans that wanted it came in, put all their money out front, and now they're trying to hit that $11 million goal, and they only have, I think, like less than 20 days to do it now. But they said the amount of money coming in is so much slower now, I don't know how they're going to hit it.
Exactly.
Because they're hoping that
Sony should just pay the money for it.
Well, that's what I don't understand, because Sony said they're going to back it now, but yet they're still asking for stretch goals for the Kickstarter, so I was just a little confused on that. But,
I'm really not excited about this game.
You said you're not excited about it?
I'm not excited about it. I mean, it sounds like the mechanics are cool, but what were you going to say, Matt?
I was going to say, going back to what you said, I actually think if you include pre-orders from Kickstarter, I think Shenmue 3 will sell the most. But out of like actual sales, I think Final Fantasy VII. I think the reason Last Guardian's been going on so long, and Ico, for the people who like their games, they do some great work and everything. But the team's changed over the years, I think, from what I understand a little bit. And I think it'll still be good, but it's not like a blockbuster in the sense that we have come to understand blockbusters. Like Assassin's Creed has generic gameplay, but they'll sell 4 or 5 million copies every time. Whereas Last Guardian may be like a really high quality game, but just in the way it is, the kind of fantasy universe it seems to be set in, I don't think it's going to be as popular among mainstream people who don't like follow E3 closely and everything.
Yeah. And that was actually interesting talking about that, because I was playing the Gears beta while that was happening on the Xbox One. And I was talking to people on there. I just decided, I'm just going to turn my microphone off and just talk and see if anyone responds. And I was talking with 3 other guys on there, and they had no idea about the Xbox One backwards compatibility. They had no idea. I had multiple people on there think that the beta was a Gears 4 beta. I'm like, no, this is for the remaster that's coming out. And they're like, what are you talking about? And like, I had to explain to them that a Gears of War 1 remaster was happening. And I'm like, it just kind of, because we've been so like ingrained in E3, for the past few weeks, we've been paying attention to it nonstop. We've been talking about it nonstop. And we don't think about the average Xbox player or, the average gamer. They probably don't watch E3. They had no idea any of this stuff was even happening.
Wow, puts it into perspective as far as like how impactful E3 actually is.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But Brant, I do have some good news for you.
Sure. Lay it on me.
Sony just announced that the Vita has passed over 4 million sales in Japan.
All right.
So it's still selling, sir. So your little handheld of gold, keeps on going.
I think it's around 11 million now worldwide.
Okay.
Wow, so it's more
that's
than
more than the Wii U.
Yeah,
it's more than the.
We all have the same idea.
Man, that's sad.
Oh, dude, that is sad. But when you think of Naughty Dog, what's the first thing that comes to your mind, sir?
Uncharted.
Okay. Well,
no Crash Bandicoot?
There you go. That's what I was going to say. One thing, they actually were talking to the creators of Uncharted. They were talking to Naughty Dog. And they mentioned that at one point in time, working on Uncharted 4, they were trying to find a way to hide the original Crash Bandicoot game somewhere in there, so people could like have Nathan Drake sit down at TV or something like that and play Crash Bandicoot, like it would actually let you play the game. But they said that Sony no longer owns the rights to Crash Bandicoot, so they weren't allowed to do it.
Oh,
wow. That would be pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, I know. It would have been like, yeah. So
yeah.
Some games do that. Like, I remember in Animal Crossing on GameCube and things like that, they would fit old NES games. Before Virtual Console was a thing, they would fit old NES games in there where you could, like, find them and unlock them and play them. So that would be kind of interesting to kind of bring that back. It'd be a very meta backwards compatibility for Uncharted.
What Nintendo game is it that does that? It's where like you can actually unlock like to where you can play like a minute or two of the original game that inspired. Is it Smash Brothers? Is that the one?
No, you're thinking of the remix one, aren't you? What is that called?
Well, there's NES remix, but I thought in Smash
Brothers
there was like a a thing where you could unlock like the original game those characters are in.
I think I do. I kind of remember that. But I don't.
And if we never did it, but like it unlocks like a minute of the gameplay or something like that. And if you like the game, it'll like take you straight to the virtual console where you can purchase it.
Huh. Well, actually, speaking of backwards compatibility and playing retro games, jump over to our Xbox news. The Xbox 360 backwards compatibility they announced, they just came out and said that all your 360 DLC is going to be compatible. So anything you bought, DLC-wise on your 360, that'll also carry over. But they said that peripherals will not work. So guitar controllers, the original Kinect, anything like that won't work, which I thought was kind of interesting because they already said that. Because people are saying, oh no, Rock Band, that'll hurt Rock Band because you can go back and play the old Rock Band games. It's like, well, no, you can't because the peripherals don't work. But they've already announced that with Rock Band 4, you'll be able to use your guitar controllers, your old guitar controllers. So I'm kind of like, well, that's kind of weird. They're kind of saying two different things. But they said the standard rule of thumb is that peripherals will not work on Xbox One.
What about DLC that maybe isn't offered on their servers anymore, or
then you probably can't get that
marketplace.
Yeah. I assume
I was gonna say because
unless you have some magical way to carry it over, it's not gonna be there.
I was thinking,
the DLC
I don't know if
you
it's
have
true or not, but I remember.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Brent.
I was just saying the DLC you have from the 360 won't carry over to Xbox One or PS3 to PS4. Is that what you guys are...
your DLC will carry over. So if you have downloadable content on your Xbox 360 for a game you own, when you go and download it onto your Xbox One to play it, it will also download all that DLC
It'll
with
be
it.
there.
So as long as you have it, and any cloud saves you have on your 360 will carry over to your Xbox One automatically. So if you've been using cloud saves with gold, then everything's already set for you because they said if you have these games, they become backwards compatible. What's going to happen when you go to My Games and Apps setting? If you scroll all the way over to the right, you'll see a list of games that you once had installed on your system. It says ready to install. Well, your 360 games are actually going to be listed on there. And if you want to play them, you click them. It'll install it onto your Xbox One, and then they're good to go.
See, I was just wondering, because I think Mass Effect 1, there was 2 DLC packs. One was Bring Down the Sky, where you went to that comet, and then one was this area where you competed in a bunch of I don't know, it was virtual simulations or something like that. Those are 2 DLC packs. I don't remember if those are actually on the 360 marketplace or whatever anymore. So
I'd assume they would be.
I wouldn't want to lose those.
Yeah. Although there are quite a few Xbox Live Arcade games and stuff that are no longer available. So unless you have the 360,
Turtles Reshell,
you're kind of in trouble. But one of the things I want to announce with the Xbox One, I don't know why they didn't announce this at E3, or maybe they did and we just missed it. They actually have a special Forza 6 blue Xbox One that's going to release. It's going to be limited edition. It's actually super slick. I'm not a Forza guy. I don't care about that, realistic simulation racers. But if I didn't have an Xbox One, that blue color on that Xbox is awesome. If you haven't seen it yet, go online, check out photos. It's really slick.
Huh.
But
people still complain about the size of it, though.
Well, true. Although they did announce recently, to get back to Brant and his wonderful PlayStation world, that the 1 terabyte PlayStation 4 and any future PlayStation 4s that are being released have actually been remodeled on the inside. They said the parts are now smaller, the system's lighter. They said size-wise it's going to look exactly the same. But I guess that the paint is changing I think it's changing from a glossy finish to a matte finish. They're making very, very minor changes, so not really announcing anything. But the new PlayStation 4s that are coming out have actually been remodeled internally, so that's pretty cool.
I do at least like how, I do at least like how this time around there's not so many changes in systems as much as last generation that I've seen. I know everybody wants more space and everything, but I remember when the PS3 first launched, there was a 64 gig model and
there
20,
was
or 16 and a 20 gig, and then
ridiculous
the next thing you knew there was 40 gig, and then there was 80 gig, and then and all of them the original ones were backwards compatible, but then later versions weren't, and it got really
confusing.
Really confusing.
Yeah.
So many different SKUs. It was a problem.
Oh, yeah, it was a mess. Because then when you go to trade it into a GameStop or wherever, okay, which one do you have? And they pull up the systems, in their computer database, and it shows 8 different versions of the PlayStation 3.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's hilarious. But to get on to our Nintendo news, To keep the Splatoon news rolling, because we talk about that every single show, they actually had some new DLC come out, 3 new weapons. They had the Lunar Blaster, which already came out, and I believe is either today or tomorrow. They've got the Carbon Roller and the Dual Squelcher weapon coming out. But also on Splatoon, they've actually passed 1 million sales now. So with only having, 10 million Wii U's out in the wild, 1 million sales is actually pretty good.
Not bad.
Yeah, the attach rate's not nearly as high as Mario Kart, but it's still pretty good.
Man, I just thought like those 1 million was just in Japan, but maybe not. Maybe that's
no,
overall.
Yeah, it's worldwide sales, 1 million sales. So I mean, they're doing pretty good though. I mean, for a brand new IP that nobody knows about, it's selling pretty good.
Yeah,
but
I mean, it's a great game.
Yeah, and the other big series that they're starting to push that used to be in Japan, they're now bringing it to America. Yokai Watch. They showed it off at E3. It's kind of like a Pokemon game in a way. But what they're doing to really promote it, they're actually taking the anime series and they're going to make it in English, and they're going to start running it on Disney XD. So now if you want to know what Yokai Watch is, I can't remember. Sometime this fall it comes out. I think it's maybe like August, September, somewhere around there. So if you want to know what Yokai Watch is about, check out the animated series, which I think is actually a very smart move on Nintendo's part.
Oh, yeah.
Because people
need more games.
Exactly. And right now, Nintendo seems to be focusing a lot on the 3DS. And we all know the Wii U is starting to die off. And people are saying, what about this NX? We need to know more about this NX. And Nintendo came out and said, we're not going to talk about the NX till next year. And the reasoning for it was they said they are afraid that the competition will steal their ideas. Now, I don't know if that is 100% true or if they're just doing that because they want people to keep focusing on the Wii U. I think that's more the point. Because honestly, as soon as Nintendo announces something, if someone's going to steal it, it'll happen within the first year anyway.
But it takes time to actually add it into your system, though. Like, you can't just like make it and then a year later it's on PS4 and Xbox One. Like,
sure.
You got to go through the process of creating something of your own and then actually bringing it in. So I don't know. True.
And normally, like last generation with the Wii, it took them quite a few years to bring out the Kinect and the PlayStation Move and things like that. Yeah.
Both of which didn't really do too well. Kinect like sold well, but everybody trashes it, and the Move didn't sell well.
Very
and
true.
They didn't make hardly any games.
The Move is just the move.
The Move makes you move to the trash can to throw them away.
Literally.
Oh, dude.
True that.
But to keep on our NX talk, there's actually a rumor going around right now that they said that Nintendo is trying to make an NX deal with Android and with Disney. So I don't really know what that means. It's just a rumor mill turning. Because originally, if you guys remember, when they first started talking about the NX, they said it's going to be an Android-based system. And Nintendo came out and said, oh, no, it's not. But now more rumors are coming out that Android is going to team up with Nintendo. So maybe this new system, it's not going to completely run on Android, but maybe they're trying to find a way to make the Android operating system work on it so they can bring more games over from, cell phone users and things like that. Especially if it's going to be like that split system they talked about of a hybrid home console and handheld. They would, like, Android games would be awesome for that.
Sure. I'm just interested, what do you guys want to see out of this system? Just quickly.
Sure. Well, I guess, Matt, go ahead and start us off on this one.
I mean, I would prefer an actual dedicated console for the television rather than like a hybrid.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just me. I would just rather see Nintendo keep their innovative side and like have some new creative idea. I mean, they're the ones that brought us motion control in a way that was actually pretty popular and pretty fun for a lot of games and stuff. But actually upgrade their hardware to match that of their competitors. That way they can get third parties on board again. And that way people stop looking at Nintendo as the second system that you have to your Xbox or your PlayStation and actually a possible, one console that you own, I guess. I'd prefer that. I mean, pretty much just keep going with whatever ideas they have, but make the hardware itself relatively powerful.
Sure, and for me, I feel like Nintendo's kind of painted themselves into a corner on this one because Xbox One and PlayStation 4, they've been out, 2 years now, right? And if Nintendo releases this system in the middle of a generation, they have to be more, if possible, more powerful than Xbox One and PS4 to compete because they've lost all third-party support. They need to make this thing super easy to make games for. So I'm kind of wondering, because if Nintendo does this and they release this system in the middle of a generation and it's only as powerful as what's out now, then the 3 or 4 years after that, when Xbox One and PS4 are turned into, PlayStation 5 and, whatever Xbox is called, Nintendo, with their new system, is only going to be about halfway through the life cycle, and then they're going to be behind all over again. So unless they're deciding on another very short life system like the Wii U, I don't know what they're going to do. Because they're kind of like caught between a rock and a hard place right now.
Yeah, Matt, I liked your idea though. I think they just need to stop being that second system and really focus on being, the main system that you want again. And I don't know how they're going to do that. I've come to the realization that I just don't like Nintendo games anymore. Not that I don't like, I still think they're fun, but those aren't the games I want anymore. And people say that I bash Nintendo, but that's just
that's
me,
just your personal taste. Sure.
I was it was funny. The other day I was playing New Super Mario Brothers on the Wii with Eli.
Yeah.
And we just weren't having fun with it for some reason. I mean, I don't know. It's a fun game, but together we just weren't having fun playing it. And he said, "Dad, could we just play Rayman Legends again?" And that was sort of just like that. Wow, I mean, it's true. I mean,
but
I'd
I will
rather
say,
go back and play Rayman.
Sure, I will say though that the New Super Mario Brothers on the Wii, it was good, but it's definitely one of the weaker 2D Mario games. I would say though. But I still get your point. Point still goes across 100%.
Yeah,
it's all proves that you're just raising your child wrong.
No,
that's one way of saying it.
I think definitely Nintendo has like a very rich history, and like to go back and play some of their earlier games. I don't care what age you are. If you play the original Super Mario World, you're still gonna have fun with it because that is just great and well made for its time. Certain ones like New Super Mario Brothers, it's just like they're trying to take that old style of gameplay but pull it into a modern, easier setting because gamers like things to be longer, more story oriented, but easier on the challenge for the most part, other than like Dark Souls or whatever. But and it's just a different type of gaming world nowadays.
Yeah,
I do like their franchises still. Like I love what they do with Zelda each time, and Link Between Worlds is one of the best Zeldas I played and stuff. But yeah, definitely there are some series that could use some changes towards
a little
more
pep in their step. But I mean, I love Nintendo. I love all the stuff that they have coming out, but I agree. Like this year's E3, it just wasn't that strong. A lot of the games they're showing off, I just wasn't connecting with. And the games that I was really looking forward to majority was on my Xbox. It was things like Tomb Raider and Fallout and all that stuff. So it'll be interesting to see what Nintendo does to try to bring that audience back. Because Nintendo, they love being the family-friendly system. I mean, that's who they are. It's who they've always been. And I think they're going to stick with that. But they've got to get that third-party support back. But, speaking of Fallout, Brand, this is a game you're excited for, right?
Oh, yeah.
And how much would you pay for your pre-order of Fallout 4?
Pre-order just the game or the special edition?
Just the game.
Well, since the pre-order shouldn't cost any more than the regular game, I'd say $60.
Okay. Would you pay 11 pounds of a bottle cap's worth?
Oh,
because
I've heard about this one.
There was actually a story that came out where someone has been collecting their bottle caps since 2008, which I guess is when the last major Fallout game released, and he shipped them to Bethesda and said, "Hey, this is for my pre-order. I saved my bottle caps. This should cover it." And they actually wrote him a letter back and said, "You got it." And they're actually giving him a pre-order of Fallout 4 for all of his bottle caps. And for those that aren't in the know,
why didn't I think of that?
Right. And for those that aren't in the know, bottle caps are the currency in Fallout. So it's very humorous.
Guy's a genius.
I know, dude. That's all you got to do is collect your bottle caps. Well, real quick, guys.
They should do a before and after. I'm sorry. They should do a before and after picture. This is me before collecting all those bottle caps, and this is me after. This guy's
like all the beer and all the soda. And
like 100 extra pounds added on.
I wonder for all that money he spent on Pop or whatever, and all the time he spent collecting those bottle caps, if he just worked a few extra hours, he might have saved the $60.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, dude, that's hilarious. Well, with that, guys, we're going to hop into our budget part of our show, my 2 cents. Real quick, a lot of the deals, surprisingly, even after E3, are almost exactly the same. Over at Walmart for $400, you can get a PS4 with The Last of Us and an extra controller. Over at Newegg, if you go to newegg.com, for $400, you can actually get the Arkham Knight bundle of the PS4, and you get a free silver headset to go along with that. So I don't know, does the PS4 come with a headset, Brant?
Yeah, it comes with a very cheap one that isn't even worth having.
Gotcha. So this one actually might be a step up from that headset.
Possibly.
Hopefully.
Yeah, anything's pretty much a step up.
Well, on the Xbox side of things, right now, over at Walmart for $349, you can get the Xbox bundle with the Master Chief Collection and a second controller. Also, you get another free game on top of that. You actually have the choice of Watch Dogs or Assassin's Creed Black Flag. So you're going to get that on top of everything else. Although I will suggest if you're going to do that, go with Watch Dogs. Because right now, Assassin's Creed Black Flag, as of July 1st, they announced Games with Gold. And the games with gold on Xbox One are Assassin's Creed Black Flag and the game So Many Me. And then on Xbox 360, it's going to be Plants vs. Zombies, not Garden Warfare, but the original Plants vs. Zombies. And the second half of the month is going to be Gears of War 3. And if you are going to...
List.
Actually, it is. It's a very strong list for Xbox games with gold. And if you are going to look into the whole backwards compatibility thing, I'm almost 100% sure Gears of War is going to be on that list. So go onto the Microsoft Store online and claim your copy of Gears of War 3. That way, when it becomes backwards compatible, it will show up on your Xbox One.
Yeah, Jamie, they did announce. I was watching some stuff at E3. They said that I guess what goes behind the decision making on what games are backwards compatible is basically based on the companies.
Yeah, they said they've already got them all ready to go. They just have to
licenses.
say yes. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So basically, they said already all first-party games are automatically going to be coming over. So that's all your Gears, all your Halo, all your I think Alan Wake is first party technically.
Okay.
Is that a first party? I don't know.
Yeah, I
but
think
like
so.
anything that's first party
Exclusive.
is automatically going over, and
Sure.
yeah, most of those. So those will pretty much be there. Probably day one, if not within the few months after.
Sure. Well, actually, day one already happened for preview members. But by Christmas, by the end of the year, we're supposed to have 100 titles. So we'll see what's in there.
Yeah. When it actually reaches everybody this fall, that's when they'll have like 100 titles
Christmas.
or whatever.
But another thing they're talking about. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Brant.
No, I was just going to say there is a flash sale going on the PSN store.
Yeah.
It's for fantasy deals.
Okay.
It has games like Dragon's Dogma, Dark Arisen, Lego the Hobbit, Game of Thrones Season Pass. It has a few movies on there too.
Okay.
Some pretty good Vita titles. Tales of Hearts R, Sword Art Online Hollow Fragment, and it ranges anywhere from 50% to 80% off. So get that this weekend. Check out some of those deals.
Cool. And also, as we were talking about E3 earlier, right now, if you go on the Microsoft Store, so go to Microsoft's website, go to the store on there. If you pre-order any games that were at E3, so like Halo, the Gears collection, or the Gears, not the Gears collection, but the Gears remaster, the Rare collection, any of that stuff, including games for next year, even games that weren't there like Scalebound and Quantum Break, if you pre-order any of those through the Microsoft Store, once they ship, you get $10. They're going to give you a gift card for $10. And if you are an Xbox Rewards member, you actually get 15. So you can actually get a pretty good amount back. I actually went on a total pre-ordering binge the other day when I found that out. I ordered, I think, 5 or 6 games pre-ordered. So I'm going to get like $90 back. So that's not too bad.
Yeah,
I'm pretty excited about that.
And it works for multi-ply games too, because I pre-ordered Star Wars Battlefront, and I get the $15 too.
Yeah,
so.
and I pre-ordered Fallout 4 from there, so that's one of my games I'm getting. So that's really nice. That's
actually pretty smart though, because they're for people who maybe own both PS4 and Xbox One are deciding, well, what system do I get this game for? It inspires them to get it for Xbox.
Sure. And a lot of people actually don't shop on the Microsoft Store. Honestly, I never have before. But when I saw this deal, I'm like, that's awesome. I'm going to go with that. And if you are a rewards member, you get free street date delivery. So you're going to get that too. So that's pretty nice. Real quick, also, we don't talk about PC games that often, but with the Humble Bundle, which we had mentioned in the past, right now the Humble Bundle is the Borderlands series. So for PC, you will get 1, 2, and the pre-sequel with all the DLC, and it's based on an average price of how much you pay. Right now, you can get all of that for $15, so that's not too bad. So if you're into
what systems is it for?
That's for PC. Majority of the time, PC is always Humble Bundle because the Wii U was the first console to ever do a Humble Bundle. So I don't know if that'll happen again in the future. Hopefully it will. But right now, most of the Humble Bundle stuff is on PC. But still. But with that, guys, we're out of our news section, and we're going to talk about what we've been playing and what we call Time Locked. Okay, Brant, I know you've been super excited to talk about Batman Arkham Knight. Tell us your thoughts.
Oh, man. James, I know you and I have been ad nauseum about this game.
That's right.
Well,
so,
my thoughts
tell me about your experience.
I am not the ultimate Batman experience right here. I'm not very far into it, actually, but the time I played with it, I really enjoy it, and I think it's past The Witcher 3.
Uh-oh.
Those
are big words.
Yeah, I know. But the combat, I much prefer in Batman to The Witcher 3. The combat's amazing. I mean, it just flows so well. It's better than any of the other Batman games, in my opinion.
Sure. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, right?
Right. And from what I can tell, I like how they have the gadgets set up, the skill level system. I mean, it still works from all the other Arkham games. Uh-huh. The story, I'm not very deep into it, but it's keeping my interest. I like how they do the side quests that you can, there's like a radial menu you can sort of click to see where all the quests are at, which is really nice. And the Batmobile, which has been getting some flack online.
Yes, absolutely.
I
have reason to say yes.
No, I actually enjoy it in a way.
You are a crazy man.
It's not something that I would prefer to use all the time.
Sure.
But I don't. Maybe you're just a bad driver, James, because I get around the city all right.
Oh,
because
here's words right there.
Right.
The thing I have a problem with the Batmobile is the sense of immersion is lost when you call it, and it comes flying towards you, and it's knocking down like buildings, and,
right,
trees, and it's like, okay, you're probably doing more damage than what the Scarecrow would do anyway.
Sure.
Like Batman's tearing up the city more than he would, but other than that, it's right up there with Bloodborne as a game of the year, and I'm not even that far into it, but.
Awesome. And honestly, like you said, I've been playing a lot of Batman Arkham Knight too, and I'm not super far into it, but I put a good amount of time into it. And the only gripe I have about that game is the Batmobile, because I feel like for how heavy that vehicle is supposed to be, like it slides all over the place. It's like you're driving on ice all the time. And it drives me nuts because you try to make a corner and you just even though you've got the braking where you can supposedly slide around corners a little easier. One thing I found that does help me, if you go to the options and that setting that says hold down the trigger to go into tank mode, if you turn that off, it kind of does an alternate control scheme, because the way it's set up, you use your gas with the right trigger and you brake or reverse with X, and you hold down the left trigger to go into tank mode, which is really kind of weird. So if you change that control scheme, what it does, your gas is on the right trigger and your brake is on the left trigger. It's so much better. And if you want to go into tank mode, I think you just hit one of the bumpers, the X button. It kind of changes some of the buttons around, but at least on the Xbox, it's X on the Xbox, it's square on the PlayStation. But so it was just kind of a very odd control scheme to have set up as your default. So once I went in and changed that, it did help a lot. But as for Batman himself, he flies around the city perfectly. It's super smooth. The combat is awesome. All that is fantastic. because I was kind of iffy on it at first because I loved Arkham City. And for me, Arkham Asylum was good, but it wasn't like great. And then Arkham Origins was just okay. But I am absolutely loving Arkham Knight. It is fantastic. Other than that, I've been playing. Oh, sorry, go ahead, man.
I was gonna say now with that one, isn't this the same company? I know it's probably not the same team, but isn't this the same company that made Shadow of Mordor last year?
I'm not sure. Did they make that, brand?
No.
We'll have to do our research.
Yeah, we're not high on the research.
It's all in Warner Brothers, though, right? I mean, Warner Brothers made both, I think.
But it's not Rocksteady.
Yeah, it's
all.
not Rocksteady. Yeah, Rocksteady made. Yeah, okay. That's right. But other than that, been playing Batman. Matt and I have actually been playing some Halo Master Chief Collection. The other night, it was me and Matt and Rob over at the work print, one of his friends, and we all hopped on and we started Halo 3 together, playing through that. I've been playing because I finally finished Halo 2 again. Like, I beat it in the past, but to actually beat it on the Master Chief Collection, finally got around to that. And I mean, the cutscenes and stuff in that game are fantastic, but the online in that game, it's still pretty rough, but it's still a lot of fun. Other than that, I mentioned before, I've been playing Don't Starve on my Wii U, and it's actually coming to Xbox One, they announced, so I actually may pick that game up again. That's a game I really enjoy, and Clay Entertainment, I pretty much loved every single game they put out, because they put out the Shank games, they put out Mark of the Ninja, they put out a lot of really awesome games, and Don't Starve is definitely one of them. But that's what I've been up to. What about you, man? Other than playing Halo with me.
I played Halo with you. You've been playing Borderlands the last couple of days. I got up to, like, me and you I think we had, on the Handsome Jack collection on Borderlands 2, we had beat the game. I don't even know if you beat the game yet.
Not on the Handsome collection, no. Like I said, I just got distracted and started playing other stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah, I got my character up to like level 40 or something like that. I'm probably about a third of the way through the the Vault Hunter mode or whatever it is. But then I've also been playing Earthbound Beginnings. Playing more of that. Really, really liking it. It's it's more Earthbound, but sometimes it gets confusing where you have to go to. But
what?
Yeah, it's I only say that I don't mean that to sound bad, but it's like it's hard to describe it because it's definitely JRPG-ish, turn-based combat. It reminds me a lot of Pokemon, in the sense that things just randomly pop up at you to fight you. But the enemies are really goofy and funny, which if you played Earthbound, then you'd know that. And then the story, it's like really weird on what you have to do. I remember like right away I had to go talk to this mayor, and then they're like, hey, this random girl has been stolen by these ghosts down the cemetery. So you have to go down to the cemetery and then go down and like dig her out of this grave. And then she's like, oh,
that's
I'll follow
family
you.
Friendly.
And then or not really dig her out, but you find an enemy, and then you take her back to the town.
She's been buried alive.
And then they're like, you gotta, because the whole in Earthbound, it's all about collecting 8 melodies to make like a full song, and then at the end of the game, you always fight the guy, I guess, or whatever his name is. He's like this alien, and you defeat them using that song. Okay. So throughout the game, you got to go these random areas.
You spoiled the entire game for everybody listening.
Yeah. It's true, spoilers.
Right.
But like, in getting the songs, you do all these goofy things. Like I went to a zoo and there was this random singing monkey, but you had to go like calm all the animals down at the zoo because they're going crazy. And then finally you go up to the singing monkey and he'll sing you the song. So it's like all this, it's like Monkey Island type humor,
sure.
But that's in hilarious. A JRPG setting. It's a really great game though.
Cool. Well, that sounds like a lot. I'll have to check that out sometime.
Yeah, for the Borderlands collection. Have you guys gotten around to the pre-sequel?
We actually kind of started it, but we decided, we want to play through 2 first because we never got around to Tiny Tina. We owned it, but we never got around to playing it. So we're trying to get the Tiny Tina DLC first, and then we're going to go back to pre-sequel. And for me, because I got distracted and got to other stuff, I never got around to it.
I will say, in our experience of the pre-sequel, at least in mine, we made it probably a third of the way through the initial campaign.
It's hilarious. It's so funny. It's a blast to play.
It's funny, but I think after a while, honestly, like it didn't hook me as much as Borderlands 2. Like sure. I was ready to actually walk away from that one more easily than I was Borderlands 2.
Sure.
I still think it's good. It's more Borderlands and it's great.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Although I will say, I'm actually, the more I look into it, Battleborn, I'm actually really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Looks pretty
That looks
sweet.
pretty cool. But okay, guys.
Okay, I
sorry,
just have
go
one.
ahead.
Oh, sorry. One more game to say.
Uh-oh.
I'm playing through an early copy of Lost Dimension, which I can't divulge any information, but that's through the PlayStation Enthusiast. So
Okay.
I'm going to be writing a review for that.
Awesome.
I'm actually part of their little team now, so if you want to go over there and check some of their work out.
There you go.
Sorry, this is my little promo corner.
Don't worry, I'll cut this
mean,
whole section out.
there you go.
No one will
All right.
ever know it
Are you
existed.
taking hints? Are you taking hints from Rob now?
Right,
Like promoting your own content?
That's right.
Yeah, there you go.
You are a
I gotta
clone
get it
of
in
Rob. What? Rob, look what you've done to him.
Rob, take care. Bye.
Right. With
Robot.
that, guys.
No.
Shout out to the work print.
With that, guys, we'll hop into our topic of the week. Engage! Okay, guys, as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, we are starting a brand new summer game series. And to kick this off, we thought we would start off with a game that we've all played, we all love, we all enjoy, Uncharted.
Dun, 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 dun. How's that song go? Something like that.
That was Josh's impression.
Man, I forget how that song goes. It's something like that.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, what we're gonna do, real quick, I'm just gonna go through a brief history of what's been going on with Uncharted, and as I go along on this, you guys can chime in with any memories you have of playing through these games. But Uncharted actually started, as I said before, it's made by Naughty Dog. And in the past, they made games like Crash Bandicoot, so this was kind of a big change for them at the launch of the PlayStation 3. And in 2007 is when Uncharted Drake's Fortune released. So that was the first game in the series. And the game actually came, if you look at Uncharted 1 and you look at Uncharted 3, what changed like graphically and gameplay-wise between those games, it's crazy.
Yeah.
When I don't know about you, I don't know about you guys, but when I first got my PlayStation 3, I bought my PlayStation 3 and I bought it with Ratchet and Clank: Tools of Destruction, and I played through that, enjoyed it. The very first game I rented to play on my PlayStation 3 was Uncharted Drake's Fortune, because I didn't buy it at the time. I rented it and I beat it because the rentals were in like two days, I think, and so it's a pretty short game, the first one, so I beat it in that short amount of time and took it back. I actually didn't buy the first one until years later when it became a lot cheaper.
Yeah, I think I did the same thing where I rented it, or did I? Maybe I borrowed it from you. I can't remember.
Oh, you may
remember.
have. But yeah.
Because
the first Uncharted game, well, I guess all the Uncharted games in general, they're not very long. They're like, 6 to 8 hours, maybe? I mean, they're all pretty short story-wise.
Yeah,
Depends on the
exactly.
difficulty you play on.
That's true. That's very true. But I don't know about you guys, but one thing that always makes me think of Uncharted, it's like Indiana Jones. It's kind of like that popcorn flick where you know what you're getting. It's going to be action-packed, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And that's how I felt from the very beginning of, Uncharted Drake's Fortune. But back in 2009, we actually talked about this on a previous podcast. 2009 is when Uncharted 2 Among Thieves came out. And I remember having you guys over for New Year's Eve that year, just the three of us. And all we did was play Uncharted 2 multiplayer all night.
Dude, that was so much fun.
Oh, yeah, not the multiplayer experience. Well, the multiplayer experience is fun, but that wasn't my first experience with it. But like a week before that, or it might have actually been earlier that night because it was New Year's, was the first experience I ever had with Uncharted, because I didn't have a PS3 till like 2010 or 11.
Yeah.
And so I remember playing that opening level of Uncharted 2, and that was my first ever experience with Uncharted, which was pretty epic, because he was like the train was falling off the mountain and everything, and you were like trying to climb up. And
oh, yeah. It's like, I forgot about
sweet.
this, like the icy mountain you're trying to climb up and it's falling apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one thing Uncharted is awesome with. They're doing a lot of those big set pieces that makes you feel like you are actually playing a movie. So that's one thing you can see the new Tomb Raider games have kind of, taken from Uncharted. But that's one thing that's really awesome with Uncharted games. But I will agree. I don't know if you guys agree with this or not, but I will say that Uncharted 2 was my favorite in the series.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that one hit the hardest for all of us, just because the online aspect, because we could all get online at the same time, and man, those games were such a blast, like the Horde mode that they had, where all the enemies were rushing in. And...
I thought the Horde mode was from number 3. Oh, no, actually, in Uncharted 3. And that actually came out in 2011. Because, Matt, I think you actually got your PlayStation sometime between Uncharted 2 and 3. Because we all hopped online together in Uncharted 3. And that's where they had that. They were like almost like mini story missions, where the three of us were each like a main character from the game. And we played through mini story missions, if you guys remember that.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I remember doing that.
I mean, that was a blast, man.
I will say, like, one was great, because I got I want to say it was like 2010 or 11. It was whenever PlayStation got hacked, because after they had that major hack and they were down for a month, then they had, like, huge deals on the PS3s. Yeah. And so then I went into GameStop and, like, I forget, I traded in a few things and I ended up getting, like, a PS3 for, like, $150, something pretty reasonable. And that's when, and then also... if you signed up for a PlayStation Plus, like before that certain date, you got, was it 2 free games that you chose from a list of 10?
Okay.
And I got Infamous 1, and I want to say it was like Little Big Planet was the other one I got or something like that. But I went in and I love history and everything, history teacher and stuff. Went back and played Uncharted, and it definitely had that Indiana Jones feel. Played the first one, but the second one definitely improved on in every way on Uncharted 1. The third one, though, like you were saying, when it released, it was great. But what I remember about that is, like, all the reviews all over were like, perfect 10, this is a masterpiece, there's nothing wrong with this game. And then I played it, and the first 10 levels, I totally agreed. I was like, this is probably the greatest game I've ever played. They were awesome in how they went back to his childhood.
Yeah, that part of the story was so good, because you wouldn't really expecting that. Like, when the game opened up and like you're playing it, you're like, wait a minute.
Oh yeah.
Like, it was such a surprise. It was awesome. We got to see Sully when he was younger and how they met and how they started helping each other. It was awesome.
But then, like, all of a sudden, like midway through, there was that level where you got like,
it was like the ship
they shot you with like a tranquilizer dart or something, and then you found yourself waking up on a ship. And then out of nowhere, I just got really disconnected from the enemies of the game. Like, we didn't see them again until the very, very end of the game. And the whole time you're like, it took you forever to get out of that shit because the combat just got ridiculously harder for some reason.
You're just like a mass murderer. Like...
That's right.
Yeah.
And it was super
about
cheap
those
on
games,
that part
that's
too.
hilarious.
Yeah, of the whole game, I agree. That was like the bottleneck of the whole game, was that shipyard scene, because the enemies were so hard and there were so many of them, and it was just, Well, Uncharted 3, I'm trying to remember, because you got knocked out with a tranquilizer dart and you showed up in the shipyard. In that same game, is that the one where you get lost in the desert too?
Yeah, you get lost in the desert.
Man, so much happens in Uncharted 3. Maybe that was part of the problem. Because I felt like the story in that one was, I don't want to say the weakest, but just thinking back on it, I'm thinking maybe it was the weakest.
I like the enemy in that game, though. That lady.
Yeah.
She was a pretty strong villain.
Yeah.
Like, I like her, but I don't like what they did with her, because she was great for the first 10 levels because you were kind of like around her a lot and then you were running. Yeah. And it kind of felt like Indiana Jones in that sense. But then, like, after that shipyard scene, you literally don't see them other than, like, one time from a distance in the desert until the very, very end of the game.
Yeah.
And so I felt kind of, like, disconnected from the enemy I was chasing down over the course of the last 10 levels. And that kind of got me... It made it drag, I guess. Like, when you were going through the desert and, like, I remember after the plane crashed and you had to just walk for, like, 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. It was like you had to hold forward. And I'm like... I'm still walking through the desert. Okay, I'm still walking through the desert. We got to get somewhere. Okay, what's on the next screen? Oh, look, I'm still walking through the desert.
So they wanted you to feel like the total...
Like you were lost.
They wanted you to feel like the total loneliness of, just being in a desert alone and dying and starving and needing something to drink. I mean, they conveyed that really well, I thought, but maybe it did go on a little too long.
Well, no, I thought they conveyed it well too. I just wish that we would have ran into the villain a little bit more over the course of the last 10 missions.
Sure. But I do agree, like Uncharted 3, I felt like it was almost too ambitious because they knew it was going to be the last game for a while, because they even put hints in that game about The Last of Us, because we knew that that was coming, and they put hints about that. So their whole team was just focused on this new series. and they probably thought we got to end Uncharted on a high note because they didn't know. Of course, they were going to make more, but at the time, they didn't know. So like, we're going to end this on a high note, and they threw so much in it, and a lot of it was good ideas. But the problem was, like you're saying, there was these little parts in the game that just kind of stopped it from perfection, I think.
I remember them making a big deal about the ship and how like it wasn't I don't know what you would call it. It wasn't like going to occur in the same way every time. Yeah, pre-rendered. It was to where the water itself was, varied, and the ship, the way it would turn and flip and everything would be almost like real. It wouldn't be played the same way twice. And I remember them making a big deal about that. And then when I actually played that level, like you didn't notice it at all. It was just
because everything was so chaotic.
I wouldn't have.
Yeah, everything was so chaotic you couldn't tell anyway. But by the way, guys, they've always tried to sort of promote Uncharted. That's their big series. And when Uncharted 3 Drake's Deception released in 2011, right before it released, they actually had a reality show, which I didn't actually know about this because I didn't watch it, but when I was looking into sort of the history of all different stuff that's happened through the history of Uncharted, they called it Uncharted 3 Race to the Ring. And it was a reality show on Spike TV. Where it had people going on these adventures and doing these challenges and doing these games, and the winner got like this major prize package that included like all this Uncharted swag. So I don't really know if that would be worth it or not. Yeah, because I didn't even know this existed, but apparently, on Spike TV, they actually had a reality show for Uncharted.
That's insane.
So maybe you guys can go on YouTube and see if you can find it, because I really don't remember that, but apparently it was real.
This is kind of a side note, but what was that one series? And this is actually, for me, one of the high points of the PS3 era when I watched it. It was that, like, game show where they selected 12 people and they competed in all these various tasks.
I want to call it The Player, but that's not right. It was what was that called? Oh my gosh, I can't remember, because they had like 3 seasons of it, didn't they? Or 2 seasons?
Yes, 3 or 4 or something like that. Because
I can't remember, because I watched every episode of that.
I vaguely remember, but I still have no clue what you're talking about. Like, I remember them doing something involving.
It was a good show, dude. It was great. I watched every episode. Yeah. It was awesome.
Huh.
Yeah, I watched every episode. I think the third season.
I can't remember what that was called. Yeah, but that was a really good show.
And then
the tester.
And then every time the loser got off, they went on to IGN and talked with Greg Miller.
Tester.
Yeah, the tester. That's it.
Good show, man. Maybe they'll bring something like that back. Who knows? But
they should.
I don't know if you guys know, but they also made I wrote a book for Uncharted. It also came out in 2011. It's called The Fourth Labyrinth. It's just like its own standalone side story. But so if you guys are book readers and want to check that out, there's, like I said, there's actually an Uncharted book. Now, did you guys play any of the? I guess it was on Vita, wasn't it? The Vita Uncharted, because in 2012,
Golden Abyss.
Yep, they had Uncharted Golden Abyss released 2012, and 2012 they had Uncharted Fight for Fortune, which was like a card game. So, Brant, you're the only Vita owner here. Did you play Golden Abyss at all?
I have it, but I have not played it.
Huh.
That's another one on the backlog.
So wait a minute, is that one you got for free through PlayStation Plus, or do you actually have like a physical copy of that, or how do you own that?
I have a physical copy.
Oh, wow. You bought Uncharted and you haven't played it?
I haven't played it.
What is wrong?
We are astounded.
Dude,
by that.
Backlog is so big. I just don't have to, with Batman now.
Yeah,
it's just so hard to go back. But maybe once Uncharted 4 comes closer, I can, go back and, experience that little awesomeness there.
Sure, and it was a launch game on the Vita, so I guess a lot of gimmicks were thrown in. There's like motion, and there's like you gotta rub the screen, and like there's all these little things they put in there to say, "Hey, look what the Vita can do." And they use the back touch on it, and like there's all sorts of stuff in that game. People say it's actually a really good game, but from what I've heard, it does have some gimmicky stuff in it.
Yeah, it's the gimmicky stuff that I think brought it down overall.
Sure, and that game, is that a prequel to the first game? Where does that? Do you know where that falls into the Uncharted timeline?
I can't tell you right now. I might be between 1 and 2. I think that's how it is, but I can't tell you. I have to look it up.
Okay. Well, real
You know
quick.
what they should make?
Oh, sorry.
They should make Uncharted Kid Edition or something like that, and have Nathan when he's like 15 and Sully when he's like 28 or 30.
Like the beginning of Indiana Jones' third movie.
Yeah.
When he's like
what was that? Like the young Indiana Jones Chronicles or something like that. They should have the Young Uncharted Chronicles.
Right. There you go. That's the way to bring the series back,
That's
right?
a good idea.
If they leave it for a little while, they can come back.
Yeah, and you can get a new actor and everything.
Well, actually, speaking of actors, real quick, as you guys know, they've been trying to get an Uncharted movie off the ground for a while now. So I thought it'd be kind of fun because we're talking about Uncharted, to talk about the movie that's kind of in limbo right now.
Yeah. Pretty much hanging by a thread.
Right. I mean, the only reason this is still being pushed is because Sony, they know it's a big property. They want this to happen. But all the way back in 2010, they announced they're going to make the Uncharted movie. And, this was supposed to be a huge deal. People were freaking out. They said they were going to film it soon. And they said it was going to star Mark Wahlberg and Robert De Niro.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so that all happened in 2010. People were like, what? No! And, because they were trying to attach star power to this movie. And then, if you guys remember, there was a fan petition that went around where they were trying to get Nathan Fillion to be...
Nathan Fillion, yeah.
Yeah, Nathan Fillion to be...
From Firefly fame.
Yeah, from Firefly. He's also Castle right now, to be Nathan Drake. And honestly, I think when he was younger, when he's in Firefly, perfect fit. But now that he's a little bit older in Castle, I don't think it would fit as well.
Rounded, yeah, I don't think it would
No, but I mean, I think his younger self, because everyone, when they think of him, they're thinking of how he was in Firefly. He would have been the perfect fit. But that was a while. That was, it's been a few years.
Yes.
And also another controversy that came out when the movie was getting, talked about and the wheels were starting to turn. David O. Russell was going to be the writer on the film. And he came out and said that the film, he was kind of changing it from the game. He said there's going to be a family dynamic to this movie. He actually compared it to The Sopranos. So he was going to talk about Drake's family. And they were going to talk to, have new members in the movie that weren't in the game, that were cousins or uncles or brothers or whatever, that they were going to show off in this movie. And people flipped out. They're like, no, that's a horrible idea. Because in the age of the internet, anything that gets announced that is against what we want, people flip out.
Oh, that's true. Well, pretty much anything that gets
Imagine
announced, somebody's not going to want it and they're going to flip out.
Sure. But I mean, in 2011, what Sony kind of did to change this, Neil Berger came on and said, I'm going to write it now and I'm going to direct it. I'm getting rid of all those family ideas they talked about before. This isn't going to happen. He said, I'm taking over the film. We're going to write the ship. And Sony's like, yes, let's do this. Well, and that was in 2011. But then in August 2012, he left the project. So I don't really know what's going on with this. I mean, this movie almost seems cursed in a way, just from the fact that people come on, they leave. They come on, they leave. Because in February of 2014, Seth Gordon came on. He said, I'm going to be the new director. And so I was looking up, who is Seth Gordon? What has he done? The thing he's most famous for, he did that documentary called The King of Kong, Fistful of Quarters. That was about the champion of Donkey Kong. I don't know if you guys remember that or not. I actually watched it. It was a really good documentary. But he's also, what he's done recently, he actually directed Horrible Bosses. He did Identity Thief. He's actually the one that's directing Pixels with Adam Sandler.
Oh, wow.
So this guy is who they're going to have direct this. And they had Mark Bowl come on, completely rewrite the script again. So this is the third time they've completely redone everything. But just recently, within the past few days, Seth Gordon came out and said, we're having creative differences, and he left the project. So now they've got another script. They've got no director. And the other recent news that came out, they actually offered the role of Nathan Drake to Chris Pratt, who's in Jurassic Park.
Of course.
He was in Guardians of the Galaxy, but he turned them down. He said he doesn't want to do it. So now there's
Chris Pratt could do anything.
Yeah, he could, really.
But I thought Chris Pratt was already going to be the new Indiana Jones.
See, that's I'm wondering if that's why he turned down Uncharted, because they have actually talked about, and it's been rumored when they ask him about it, he's very sly about it, but they've asked Chris Pratt many times, are you the new Indiana Jones? And he won't say anything about it. So people are thinking that, because he's kind of becoming the new Harrison Ford in a way, kind of like how Harrison Ford was Indiana Jones, he's doing Star Wars, he's doing all these big movies. And now Chris Pratt's kind of like the young guy who's, kind of sarcastic and funny and likable. And he's kind of filling in this void now where he's going to be Indiana Jones and he's doing Jurassic Park and Guardians of the Galaxy. And he's doing all these kind of movies now. But,
That'd be pretty cool.
Who's going to play...
Yeah.
Right. But who's going to play Nathan Drake? I mean, we have no idea. Are they going to go back to Mark Wahlberg?
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, the only thing that would make fans remotely happy, and I'm not saying this would actually make fans happy, but it would be the only way it would turn out in a way that fans might still like and appreciate, is if they did just a really nice CGI movie. Because there's no way you're going to get
Matt, that's a genius
live action
idea.
type script.
Sure.
And get actors that everybody
What's
appreciates.
That?
I mean,
what's that one movie that Steven Spielberg did that was all CGI that was really good? What is that?
That was an awesome movie. Is that French comic that he based it on?
Oh, Tintin.
Yeah.
Adventures of Tintin.
Tintin.
That movie is awesome.
Was great.
You guys haven't watched Adventures of Tintin? Yes, it's a kid's movie. That movie is awesome. I love that movie.
Yeah.
They are doing a sequel to that, by the way. They are doing a sequel to that.
Yeah.
Sure, why don't they just place Uncharted in that? Something like that.
Yeah.
Sure.
And it doesn't have to be cartoony. It can be like pretty realistic CGI, but just like a complete CGI movie.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that way they can use all the original voice actors and all that stuff. Because, heck, it's going to work for Ratchet and Clank's totally different. But Ratchet and Clank, they're using all the video game actor voices. They're bringing in some celebrity voices, sure, of course. But, for the most part, they have all the video game voices back. And so it's going to be just like the game, which is awesome.
And what is happening with that Ratchet and Clank movie?
What's still happening? It's pretty much done. They've actually shown it off at some film festivals, I believe. It's just delayed until 2016, and they're going to release the new game and stuff too.
See, I was just wondering. It seems like Sony's been having a lot of issues with some of their big movie ideas lately. Like Spider-Man, they had to get on with Marvel because their Spider-Man movies have been tanking, and then.
They actually just announced the new actor that's going to be Spider-Man. I don't know if you guys saw that or not. I can't remember what his name. It's a new actor. I don't know him. The funny thing was they were naming up all these, not really kid actors, but young adult actors of who was going to be Spider-Man. And the only one I knew on there was Butterfield. I can't remember his first name. He was in Hugo and he's been in some other stuff. He was like the only actor I actually knew from the list of people they were talking about. But Marvel knows what they're doing, so they probably picked the right guy.
Right.
Yeah. Since Marvel's in on this, they'll probably make you good. I actually am in the minority. I kind of liked the new Amazing Spider-Mans with.
I did too. Garfield. I thought they were really good. They all did a really good job in that movie.
I can see some problems with them, but nothing is worse than Spider-Man 3 with Tobey Maguire. That one was just.
Well, guys, I guess to end our Uncharted talk, E3 just happened. They showed off Uncharted. If I remember right, I think originally they said it was supposed to come out this year, but it got delayed to early 2016. What do you guys want to see from Uncharted 4? Because it's called A Thief's End. It might be the last one. We don't know. Brant, what do you want to see from Uncharted 4? What will make you go, oh my gosh, this is the best Uncharted game ever?
If they go into space. I'm just kidding about that.
Sure you are.
Pretty much, from what I can tell, the name implies people are saying that Nathan's gonna die. He has a brother, and it was shown in the trailer. I think something's going to happen where maybe his brother gets involved in some way in the storyline of this, and maybe he passes away somehow, something happens, and then I think it's going to be Nathan walking into the sunset somehow saying, okay, this is, I'm done with this, and then maybe have like a twist at the end where, I don't know, him and Elena have a son, and, they're telling him about his adventures, and then his son, is sort of taking the mantle, if you will. Even though he doesn't want him to, because he doesn't want him to be in danger, but sort of goes into a whole new series for them. So,
sure.
Line-wise, I don't know what is going to be involved, but it's more Uncharted. It's going to be awesome.
Sure, but I guess gameplay-wise, what do you want to see them tighten up to make it stronger?
Well, the thing is, I think the gameplay is about as the gunplay could be a little better.
Mm-hmm.
But I was going to go back and say with the Uncharted games, what I love so much is that it wasn't like really holding your hand at all. Like you could see ledges where you could grab on, but it wasn't like outlined or anything. It was
Sure.
like really in the environment, so you could just jump up to this pipe and, over to this building with crumbling rocks, and you knew you could grab onto that. That was just what was really cool about that series overall. So yeah, I mean, maybe add for some of the shooting, the cover mechanics, I guess, make it so maybe it's a first person view at some
Okay.
points. I think that might be a cool little twist to it. Grand Theft Auto 5 seemed to really hit a good
Sure. Yeah,
thing
sure.
for that. Not make it totally first person, but I mean, I could see
Huh.
that making some positive changes.
See, I wouldn't go anywhere near first person. That's an interesting take. I wouldn't have thought of Uncharted in first person, but you never know. But for me though, what's always drawn me to Uncharted, it hasn't been the gameplay. It's always been the story. Like I said, to me, I feel like Uncharted to me is like the summer popcorn movie. I know I'm going to enjoy it. It's going to be a
Yeah.
blast playing through. It's going to be a great time. But for like shooting mechanics and things like that, they've always been so loose and never that strong. I just gotta feel like I aim, hold down the trigger, and just hope I hit him. So one thing I would really like to see is just the shooting mechanics tightened up. And playing things like The Last of Us, you can see they've really improved on that. Where although The Last of Us is more of a slower paced, stealthy kind of game, where Uncharted is more action packed in your face. But I think they're going to take a lot of what they've learned from The Last of Us and use that in Uncharted 4, and it's going to be awesome as long as they nail the story. Because I thought I heard somewhere they said
Yeah.
this might be the last one, and or at least for a long time. And if that's true, they've got to do something to really tighten up that ending to make it one where it can be somewhat open, but you're happy with where it ends. It's going to have either a good happy ending, because really, if you look at Uncharted, like we said before, 1 came out in '07, 2 came out in '09. 3 came out in 11, so it's every 2 years they've had a new one. Well, this time, this was not coming out till 2016, so they've had a lot more time in there to sort of perfect what they're doing. Although I will say with the story, though, I won't say I'm worried, but the lead writer who did all those other Uncharted games left, and she's working on a new Star
Right.
Wars game now. So we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting to see what, I trust Naughty Dog, but it'll be interesting to see where the story goes. But, what about you, Max? I know you've always kind of agreed on me with the gunplay of that game.
Yeah, I mean, gameplay-wise, it always felt like it was in the way of the actual game. Like, it's weird to say, but, like, the gameplay of Uncharted got in the way of what everybody actually wanted from the game, which was experiencing an awesome story and an atmosphere. The puzzles were always awesome. I always liked them whenever you were, like, in a room or a tomb or something like that, trying to figure that out. But they kind of... It was always very generic shooting. It was okay. Like, they could have tightened up better on, like, where you actually got cover and stuff. But, like, it was just run forward and there's a big group of enemies. And sometimes to add it, a little bit of difficulty and make it a little longer, they threw in more enemies in just a big area. And I know every game does that, from Call of Duty to everything. But if they really want to make this a masterpiece, don't make it to where the gameplay actually gets in the way of your experience. Maybe have either less, more difficult enemies, or make it more of an emotional journey with more traversing. I don't know what to do there, but don't throw in horrible set pieces like that shipyard where all of a sudden you just go out and there's like 50 enemies around you and you just got to work your way through them. Like, stay away from that and they'll be fine gameplay-wise. I think story-wise, I'm kind of interested on where they're going, because the first one was the Caribbean, I believe. It was an island, and it was I forget which pirate it was, but one of the Sir Francis Drake, because it was related to his name. Yeah, it was his one of his lost journeys or whatever, something like that. The second one was Marco Polo in the East, and the third one was Lawrence of Arabia, I believe, in the Middle East.
Yeah, because they go to the desert.
So I'm kind of interested to see where they're going with this one. Like, what's an area of the world they haven't hit yet? What's a legend they haven't hit yet? I think they'll pick a good one, and it should be fine. I kind of like what Josh was saying, like, to actually wrap up something with him and Elena and maybe, like, end Nathan's story and carry it on for the future with, like, his kid or something. But, I think their cinematics and their story has always been fine. Definitely don't get disconnected from your enemy in the last 10 levels this time.
Well, and one thing I agree with you, one thing I love about Uncharted story. It's kind of like Indiana Jones, where they go after something that's, in the realm of possibility. Like, they go after something that's real, and they use history to kind of back it up. So it makes it believable. Of course, with what Uncharted does, and even what Indiana Jones does, they do throw some supernatural stuff in there. Just to kind of a twist in there. And I actually love that because, like I said, it makes it feel like a popcorn movie. So it'll be interesting to see what item they're going to be going after in this game.
Yeah, they always did have a supernatural twist that was interesting. I think the worst one was in number 3, and that's why I didn't care for that game as much. It was very frustrating at the end. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they can think of for this one.
Sure. And I feel like...
Where do you guys think they're going to go? Like, do you think they're going to go to Africa? You think they're going to go to, like, Europe?
I have no idea, man.
It looked like they were in, like, Brazil or somewhere.
In the gameplay
South
demo.
America?
Yeah, somewhere in South America. Like you said, I hope they keep the story. The story's the most important part, so don't be jumping all over the place. And I think Uncharted 3 had a problem with that as well, maybe just going too many places. But keep it refined, action-packed, and, just hit a home run in that regard.
Sure. And one thing I will say, with Tomb Raider copied a lot of things over from Uncharted, they've kind of learned, not really from Uncharted's mistakes, but they've kind of taken some things of Uncharted and improved on them. And I feel like, at least for me, I don't know about you guys, but the not remaster, but like the reboot of Tomb Raider that I've got on my Xbox One, I feel like I enjoyed that more than I enjoyed Uncharted 3. So for me, I'd say Uncharted 2, I would say, is better than the rebooted Tomb Raider, but the rebooted Tomb Raider and what's coming out with the Rise of the Tomb Raider, it's going to be interesting to see how these games compete when they come out, because Tomb Raider's at the very end of this year, Uncharted is the very beginning of next year. But if you look at consoles, total consoles sold, I think PS4 still is going to blow Tomb Raider out of the water just from that perspective.
Well, yeah, and technically they're not competing because they're not actually going up against each other.
Well, no, I know, but exactly. But I know, but just because they're the same genre, people are going to be comparing them, because even Xbox themselves came out and said we got Tomb Raider exclusively because we don't have anything like Uncharted. They even came out and said that. So I think online people are going to be comparing them anyway.
Yeah, but that's online. That's the small minority of fanboys who kind of go out and rant, and they don't really represent the mainstream or the majority.
Sure,
but
that's true.
True.
Yeah. I was going to say, to clarify though, I wouldn't want it to become another Order 1866 or 1886, wherever it is, where it's like all story and like no gameplay. But definitely don't let just random big battles that appear get in the way of the actual game experience. It would be an improvement.
Sure. So pretty much what you don't want to see is, Nathan Drake, hiding in cover, and he'll say, press X. And you push X, it'll pop up and shoot all the guys. And they'll be driving the Jeep and say, push X. And it's all just like these cut scenes, and all you have to do is push one button. You're just watching a movie for 6 hours.
I don't want to see that, but I also wouldn't want to get stuck in a battle for an hour and not be able to get out of it.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, guys, hopefully you've enjoyed this first episode of this new summer game series that we're doing. We've got more games on the way. We've got a lot of great series coming up we're going to be talking about, so make sure to stick around for those. You guys can always find us on Facebook, so make sure to go in there and like us on Facebook. We're on Twitter, @LifeOfGamingPod. We're also on Google+. And make sure to check out our YouTube page, because as you guys know, we did those awesome E3 reaction videos that are there. So...
There we go.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay.
Yes.
But,
there it is.
So
had to do it.
There you go.
I had to do it. Yes.
Right. So
that's it.
And you guys know that you can find me at JamesPlus12 on Twitter. I'm also on Twitch and on Xbox at Jamester0722. And Brant, where can people find you?
I'm at -the_Brant on PSN, -the_Brant, so look me up and we'll play some games. Be awesome.
There you go. And what about you, Matt?
Twitter at cpunkrock07, Xbox at xmightymat14x, and yeah.
There you go. Awesome. Well, like I said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this series. It's just going to be the start of a beautiful summer. But until next time, guys.
Glorious summer.
We are out.
Bye.
Later.